English can feel like a sea of words moving too fast to catch. But fluency begins when you slow the noise down and hear one clear phrase. Slow listening moves your brain forward. Hey, English Toolbox fam! We are so excited to have you back today for an episode that's going to change the way you think about language learning.
Welcome back. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that might sound like a paradox, but it's a powerful secret to fluency.
Exactly. The title of today's episode is Slow Listening Makes Your English Stronger and Faster. It sounds a bit strange, but we're going to explain why taking things slowly at first is the fastest way to get to your goals.
We're talking about building a solid foundation, trusting the process, and staying motivated by focusing on a pace that actually helps you learn. Forget the feeling of getting lost in a fast conversation. We're going to show you a better way. A quick note before we continue. Open this episode at yourenglishtoolbox.com. There you can follow the transcript in several languages, use synchronized subtitles, and choose the listening speed that works best for you.
You will find the direct link in the episode description. Now, let's get back to slow listening. This is going to be incredibly useful. And to help us explore this idea, we have our fantastic guest back with us, who has some brilliant personal experience with this. Let's give a huge English Toolbox welcome back to Poppy.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be back. I'm really excited to talk about this because it connects directly to something I've been doing in my own language learning journey with Spanish.
That's perfect. Poppy, you're currently studying Spanish, right? And you've been doing some language exchange activities?
That's right. I am taking part in a tandem language exchange program at my university. I help a Spanish student with their English, and they help me with my Spanish. We meet up for coffee and just talk. It's a great way to practice.
So, how does that connect to this idea of slow listening?
Well, when we do it, it feels so natural. We both speak slowly. I'm listening carefully to my partner, and they are listening carefully to me. We take our time with each word. I'm not worried about my accent or making a mistake because we are both focused on making sure we understand each other. No one is trying to speak quickly, like we're both learning and we want the other person to succeed. It creates a space of trust and patience.
That's such a great point. It's a natural, human way of communicating when you're both learning. You build a connection before you focus on speed.
And this is the real paradox we want to talk about. A lot of language learning materials throw you straight into normal speed, fast conversations. You listen to them and you feel disappointed because you only catch a few words. You start to think, maybe I'm not good at this. And then you risk giving up.
Exactly. That was a big fear for me when I started. I would listen to a Spanish podcast for native speakers, and I felt like I was drowning in a sea of words. I would get maybe 20% of what they said. It was really discouraging. But in the tandem exchange, when we're going slowly and being patient, I feel motivated and happy. It's rewarding for my brain because I am actually understanding and participating.
This is a perfect comparison. It's like what a musician or a dancer does. Julia, I'm sure you have some experience with this.
I do, actually. When you learn to play the piano, you don't just start playing a complex piece at full speed. That would be impossible. You learn it slowly, note by note, in a very deliberate way. You practice the difficult parts slowly, over and over again, until your fingers and your brain remember the movements. Only then, after you've mastered the piece slowly, do you start to add speed.
And dancers do the same, right? They don't just jump into a fast dance.
No way! They break down the movements or the steps one by one. They do them in slow motion to make sure their body knows exactly what to do. The muscle memory is built slowly and carefully. Once the slow movements are perfect, the speed comes naturally and it looks beautiful and effortless. They don't start with speed, they finish with it.
This idea is everywhere. Think about learning to drive a car. Your first few lessons aren't on the motorway at 120 kilometers an hour. You start slowly in an empty car park. You learn how to use the pedals, how to turn the wheel, how to look in the mirrors. You do everything slowly and carefully. When you feel confident with the slow individual actions, you gradually add speed and complexity. You build confidence and trust in your own skills. And it's the same with language.
It's so true. Like I was just thinking about this. Like the biggest reward for me in my Spanish learning isn't a fast conversation. Like it's the moment when I understand a whole slow sentence. My brain feels a little burst of happiness and I get excited to keep going.
And that's exactly how our brain learns. Our brains are like a muscle. When you learn something slowly and deliberately, you're not just throwing information at it. You are giving your brain the time it needs to build strong connections. We call these neural pathways. When you listen to slow English, your brain has time to identify each word, understand its meaning, and connect it to the rest of the sentence. It's an effective way to learn.
So, if you're listening to a normal speed conversation and you feel overwhelmed, your brain just can't keep up. It's like trying to build a house in a tornado. It's difficult and frustrating. But with a slower pace, you give your brain the time it needs to properly organize the information, and those connections become stronger and stronger. The speed comes later, once those strong connections are there.
It really is a powerful way to learn. When I feel like I have understood a whole podcast, even if it's slow, I feel like I've won a small victory. And all those small victories add up to big progress.
Exactly. And that's our main goal with this podcast. We want you to feel those victories every single episode.
Now, before we sign off, it's time for our language lab. Julia, hit us with some of those great phrases we've used today that our listeners can add to their vocabulary.
Thanks, Martin. We had some excellent phrases in this episode that are perfect for talking about learning and growth. Let's break down 3 of them, and then a grammar point. Okay, first up, diving into a topic.
That sounds like a great way to say you're starting something new and going into it deeply.
Precisely. It means to start a new subject or activity with a lot of detail and focus. Martin used it at the beginning when he said, "We're going to dive into a topic that might sound like a paradox." It's a nice, active phrase to show you're taking something seriously.
So you could say, I'm going to dive into that new book about history this weekend. Or, let's dive into the details of this project. It suggests a real commitment to the topic.
Exactly. Next, a great phrase for how things feel. Drowning in a sea of words.
That one is very visual. It sounds like a lot of words all at once, so many that you can't keep up.
You've got it. It's a very common phrase to describe feeling completely overwhelmed or lost in something, especially a large amount of information. Poppy used it when she said, I felt like I was drowning in a sea of words. It paints a very clear picture of that frustration.
I've felt that way many times. So you could also say, during the lecture, I felt like I was drowning in a sea of numbers if you were talking about a difficult math class. It's a great way to express that overwhelmed feeling.
And for our third phrase, build a solid foundation.
That sounds like an important idea, something you start with before you build something bigger.
It is. This phrase means to create a strong, stable base of knowledge, skills, or trust on which something more complex can be built. We used it to talk about how slow listening helps you create a strong base before you add speed. You could say, you need to build a solid foundation of grammar before you can write a complex novel. It's a fundamental concept for learning anything new.
Perfect. And for our quick grammar tip, let's talk about the phrase a sea of that we just heard. It's a great way to use the word sea as a metaphor.
Exactly. When we use the phrase a sea of, we are not talking about the actual ocean. We are talking about a very large amount of something, so much that it feels like you are surrounded by it. It can be a sea of words, a sea of people at a concert, or even a sea of papers on your desk. It's a simple but effective way to talk about a huge number of things.
Super useful. Thanks, Julia, for breaking those down so clearly.
My pleasure, Martin.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the paradox of slow listening. We hope that Poppy's stories and our examples have shown you that taking a slower pace can lead to bigger, faster results in your language learning journey.
Absolutely. And because we truly believe in this method, we have a very special announcement. In our future episodes, we are going to start a new series where we will use a special, slower pace in our conversations to help you learn even more effectively. We're going to put our money where our mouth is and show you exactly what we're talking about.
That's right. We're going to practice what we preach and make this a regular feature. You'll be able to listen with confidence, catch all the new phrases, and build that solid foundation we talked about. And there is something practical you can do with this episode right now. On the episode page at yourenglishtoolbox.com, you can control the playback speed yourself.
The player gives you 7 listening rhythms, from 0.70 extra slow to 1.25 challenge. You can decide for yourself which one works best for you.
Start with the speed that lets you understand the main message without feeling lost. If normal feels too fast, try gentle, slow, or extra slow. You are not taking a step backwards. You are giving your brain enough time to hear word boundaries, notice pronunciation, and connect sounds with meaning.
Then, listen again. When the episode feels comfortable, move up by one level. For example, go from 0.80 to 0.90, or from 0.90 to normal. This gradual increase turns speed into a learning tool instead of a test.
You can also work in the opposite direction. Listen once at normal or brisk for the general idea, then slow down a difficult section to study it carefully. After that, return to the faster speed and notice how much clearer it sounds.
That kind of repeated listening lowers cognitive overload, builds confidence, and helps useful phrases become easier to recognize. The goal is not to stay at the slowest speed forever. The goal is to build a solid foundation and increase the challenge when you are ready.
And the speed control is only one part of the free learning experience on YourEnglishToolbox.com. Let us give you a complete tour so you know exactly how to use the site.
Begin in episodes. Each episode page brings the lesson materials together in one place. You can listen with the 7-speed player, read the transcript, and use cinema mode to follow synchronized subtitles while the audio plays.
If an advertisement from our podcast host changes the subtitle timing, use the on-screen resynchronization guide. When the advert ends, tap the first sentence you hear. Cinema mode will continue from that point.
You can also use the translations to check meaning when you need support. The transcript is available in English and, where provided for the episode, in Spanish, German, French, and Persian. Use English first, then open a translation to solve a specific doubt instead of translating every sentence automatically.
Look for the vocabulary section too. It highlights important words and expressions with clear English definitions and examples. Some episode pages also include downloadable PDFs, so you can save the transcript and vocabulary for offline study or print them for notes.
Next, enter the practice arena. It turns listening into active practice with activities based on the episode. Listen first, complete the exercises, and then return to the audio. That second listen is where you often notice real progress.
If idioms are your priority, visit the idioms section. Our free idioms course is organized lesson by lesson around useful themes. Work through the explanations and examples in sequence. Listen to the connected podcast episodes and use the review activities to make each expression active.
And do not miss Learn with Music. This section uses songs as a doorway into English. Explore the learning materials connected to each song. Pay attention to vocabulary, pronunciation, and meaning. And then listen again with a clearer understanding of the language.
The learning paths help you choose what to study next instead of jumping randomly from page to page. Video podcasts add visual context, and the How to Use and How to Listen sections show you practical study routines for getting more from every resource.
A simple routine could be: listen once at a comfortable speed, follow the subtitles in cinema mode, check only the words you truly need, complete the practice arena, and listen once more at a slightly faster speed. On another day, review the PDF or continue with an idioms or learn with music lesson.
Everything is designed to help you move from supported listening to independent listening, one manageable step at a time. The resources are free, and the direct link to this episode page is waiting for you in the description.
Choose your speed, use the support you need, and gradually remove that support as your English becomes stronger.
Explore it at YourEnglishToolbox.com. Choose the support that works for you, and then keep learning with us one episode at a time.
So, make sure you subscribe to Your English Toolbox so you don't miss any of our new slow-paced episodes. And please share this episode with a friend who is also trying to learn a new language. Let them know that slowing down can be the fastest way to get to fluency.
Thanks so much for having me back. It was great to share my experience and talk about something I'm so passionate about. Happy learning, everyone!
See you next time. And remember, Slow listening makes your English stronger and faster.
Take care, everyone. Stay curious.